Have you ever been stuck in your own head? You rehearse every outcome you plan, every move you predict, every possible outcome, and yet nothing actually happens. That, my friends, is the trap of overthinking. It feels like progress, it does, but it's actually fear disguised as productivity. Today I want to help you. Today I want to give you one simple question that can cut through the noise. It's the same question that helped me recover from one of the most painful moments of my career. The night I bombed my very first keynote in front of every single person that I loved. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are unveiling overthinking. Hey team, it's Coach Bart here, and this is Built Resilient. This is a show based upon the questions I get after my keynote presentations. It's a show that is dedicated solely and unstoppably to leveling up your mental, physical, and emotional resilience. Team, I'm here to make you a better human, and today we're talking about something that I do just about every single day of my life. We're talking about overthinking. And for all the introverts and anxious people out there, this is an episode you do not want to miss. We're going to go through a question that's helped me, one that I ask myself almost on a daily basis, as well as a very simple framework that can help you close those loops and get out of your own head. But hey, if you are new here, thanks for finding us on the saturated internet. We have been here for a little while, and we're glad you have joined us. If you do want to join the community, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast. You can always get in touch with me directly through the comment section on any of those, but also through hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Let me know what topics you want to get broached. Let me know your questions. Let me know your feedback. Let me know how I can help. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about overthinking. My workplace and I booked a theatre for my very first keynote presentation, and it wasn't a little room at a community centre, it was a full theatre. Months of writing, rewriting, rehearsing. I wanted that presentation to be perfect. I told myself, hey, if the people that I love are in there, it'll be easier. It'll be easier to tell this story for the very first time. So I invited everyone that I could on the Sunshine Coast. People in jets, gyms, my friends, my colleagues, my in-laws. They all came just to see me, and they were all sitting right in the front row. The lights came up. I stepped out. I saw their faces smiling back at me, and in that exact moment, my brain left the building. My body was standing on the stage, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. Somewhere probably between fear, pride, and absolute utter panic. Did I like it? Am I talking too fast? Do I sound nervous? I can't remember the next line. Those thoughts were racing through my mind. And because of that, I lost my place. And I lost the entire audience. I lost the presentation. And then, silence. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 full seconds of nothing, which on a stage may as well be about an hour. The lights were burning, the air was thick, and then you hear the shuffle of the seats, the cough from the front row. My heart was hammering so loudly that I could barely hear any thoughts going through my head. And the worst part wasn't the silence, it's that I wasn't present. I wasn't in the room with those people that I love. I was performing for a jury in my own head. I wasn't living in the moment. I wasn't living in the moment that I worked so hard for. I was trapped in a land of worry. And that night, overthinking won. It beat me. But that night also taught me that what overthinking really is. And also what it isn't. Overthinking isn't stupidity or weakness. It's protection. It's your brain trying to keep you safe by predicting every possible outcome. The trouble is, life doesn't play by those rules. You can't think your way into certainty. When your mind starts looping, the prefrontal cortex, the one that is responsible for rest, digest, for rational thought, it's the planning center, it goes into overdrive. It collects data, reviews scenarios, builds flowcharts. Meanwhile, your amygdala, the part that handles fear, it is absolutely screaming, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And together they create this endless loop, this endless circuit, a feedback loop between logic and fear. It feels productive, it does, but you're not planning anymore. You're simply postponing the inevitable, whatever that inevitable may be. And then your body starts to join in. Your breathing rises to your chest, your stomach tightens, your shoulders creep towards your ears, your world narrows until all you can see is the problem. That, my friends, is overthinking. It's the body's alarm system and your brain's control center locked in a tug of war. Most of the time, the thing that we're really afraid of isn't the decision itself. It's what we'll feel afterwards. Sometimes it's shame. Sometimes that feeling is embarrassment. Sometimes it's rejection. The possibility that someone we care about might see you fail. And this is all because you care. Don't get me wrong. It's because you care. It's because you want to get it right. It's because you're trying to protect yourself from pain. And hey, that's okay. It absolutely is. You can't bully your way out of overthinking. You have to meet the part of you with curiosity. And so I want to try and get a bit practical in this podcast. If you've got a moment, I want you to grab a pen and I want you to grab a paper, or I want you to grab the Notes app on your phone. And I want to do a quick 90-second journaling check-in. And if you're listening to this, you're listening to a car, don't stop driving. Just you do you. Listen to the sultry sound of my voice. But if you have a moment, don't just skip over this. This could be a choice that could change the trajectory of your day, your week, or even perhaps your life. Just because you decided to do something enough on a podcast suggested you to, but it's different. It could change. And so there's no wrong answers here, just right. I want you to ask yourself, what am I afraid might happen if I take this next step or do something different? What am I afraid people will think of me? What am I trying to avoid feeling? What good thing might I be blocking by staying stuck? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Don't edit it, just get it out. Get those hands and fingers tapping and writing. When fear becomes visible, it loses some of its power. You've just pulled the monster out from under the bed and then switched on the light. If you get what you're afraid of onto a piece of paper, into a place in reality, you can now digest it. You can now see it for what it really is. It's probably nothing. And now that you know what that fear is, now that you've met your fear, here's the tool that frees you from it. Here is the question. What would I do if I wasn't afraid? That's it. One question. Not what's the next perfect move, not what guarantees success, simply what would I do if I wasn't afraid? What would I do at work if I wasn't afraid? What would I do in my relationship if I wasn't afraid? What would I do with my entire life if I wasn't afraid of failing or if I wasn't afraid of other people judging me? This question works because it bypasses your mental noise and goes straight into your intuition. It moves you from your head into your body. And when you ask it, you don't analyze. You don't give a rational, sometimes, answer. But you feel the answer. And that first, quiet answer is usually the truth. If you weren't afraid, maybe you would send that message that you keep rewriting. Maybe you would ask for the raise that you know you deserve. Maybe you'd say sorry. Maybe you'd finally walk into the gym or finally walk away from the thing that's been breaking you. You already know. The answer's been sitting under the surface waiting for permission to speak. And here's how you turn that question then into action. The first is to pause. This is step number one. When you notice yourself spiraling, when you notice yourself overthinking in that loop of fear, I want you to say it out loud. I am spiraling. I am overthinking. That simple sentence creates space between you and the thought. Feel your feet on the floor, the weight of yourself in the chair beneath you, the air on your skin. You can then press pause anytime in your life when you feel those thoughts ramping up. And then once you've acknowledged it, once you've realized you're in that state, step number 2 is to breathe. Through your nose for 4, hold for 2, and then out through your mouth for 6. And step number 2 is breathe. I want you to breathe through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 2, and then out through your mouth for 6. If you're in the car, do that right now. If you're at your desk at work, do that right now. Feel the feeling of deep breath. And I want you to do that again, and again, and again. With every exhale, I want you to drop your shoulders. I want you to unclench your jaw. I want your tongue to fall from the roof of your mouth. This is you signaling to your body safety. You're telling it that the danger is imagined. It's not real. And then I want you to slide into step number 3. I want you to ask, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Ask the golden question. I want you to say it quietly but out loud. Say it to yourself. If you're in front of a mirror, even better. And then let the answer rise before your inner critic can jump in. And then I want you to act. Step number 4. I want you to shrink the next right move, the next action. I want you to shrink it until it's so small that you can do it right now. If the answer is, I have to have a hard conversation, that's what I'm afraid of, then your action is simply sending a message that says, hey, can we have a chat later? If it's, I need to apply for that job and I'm afraid of failing and not getting the dream job, I want you to open the application and fill in your name. If it's, hey, I need to get healthy, that's the thing I'm afraid of, I want you to put on your shoes and go for a walk for 2 minutes. That's it. Start small. Remember, momentum before masterpiece. Every small action weakens the grip of fear. And now let's practice this in real time. We have the golden question. We then have a 4-step process to make sure this question lands, and we turn this thought deregulation into action. Let's try it. I want you to picture something that you've been stuck on. Maybe it's a decision, a text, an idea you've been sitting on, the side hustle you've wanted to do for a little while, whatever it may be. I want you to pause. I want you to breathe in for 4, hold, out for 6. Now I want you to ask yourself, if I wasn't afraid, what would I do? You know the answer. You felt it before you even thought it. I want you to act on that, even if it's tiny. In fact, especially if it's tiny. When I walked off stage after absolutely bombing my first ever keynote, something that felt so right and something I was so passionate about. When that happened, I didn't need a critic and I didn't need a coach. The part of me that overthought that night was trying to keep me safe. It was trying to keep me safe from humiliation. It was trying to keep me safe from the thought of bearing my entire soul to the people that I love. And this thought pattern, this overthinking, it just happened to overdo its job that night. I let it get the better of me. And so for you, I want you to talk to yourself like you would to someone that you love. I want you to say, of course I'm scared. Of course you're scared. You're scared because this matters. It means something to you. Fear can come along for the ride, but it doesn't get to steer. And remember, it's your choice whether to let fear steer or not. And hey, when you slip back into overthinking, because let's face it, it will happen, particularly if you're a serial overthinker like myself, you don't start all over at 0. You simply notice it sooner. You become quicker at remedying it. And then that, my friends, is progress. That is resilience in action. So I want you to start small. And I want you to start today. Today, use that question on something with low stakes. It could be a text. It could be an email. It could be a 5-minute task. And then this week, I want you to use it in one conversation or one decision that you have been avoiding. It could even be the big, hairy, audacious goal, your dream, the thing you know you've been put on this earth to do. And then this month, I want you to use it on something bigger. The one thing that scares the absolute pants off you. Team, I want you to be brave. I want you to be brave in the face of overthinking. I want you to be brave in the face of your own thoughts. And just remember that courage isn't in the absence of fear. The two work alongside each other. Courage is taking the next step while fear is still whispering. You know, if I could relive that day in the theatre, delivering that first presentation, I think I'd do it differently. I'd plant my feet on the boards, I'd feel the warmth of the lights, and I'd take a deep, full breath. And then I'd ask myself, internally, if I wasn't afraid, what would I do? I'd look to one person, connect with them, and speak one line. Not perfectly, just presently. I would make a conscious choice to be there and not lost in a world of worry. And if I happen to lose my place, which to be honest happens almost every presentation that I do now, I'd smile and I'd say, well, I just blanked. It happens to the best of us. The room would then laugh, I'd laugh, and then the moment would belong to all of us and not just my fear. That's what presence does. It brings you back to being human. Team, you're going to be with your thoughts from now until the day that you die. And if you want to keep living a life where your thoughts are getting the better of you, where that inner critic is always chirping, and you're living a life where you're always worried about what people think or fear of failure, if you want that, hey, you don't need to action anything from this episode, but trust me, from a guy that's constantly battling this idea of overthinking and that inner critic, the more we work at this, the more we realize just how powerful and strong we can be, and just how much control we have over our entire life. And so look, I put these frameworks up on the internet and I speak about these frameworks in front of a lot of people. But the reason why I do that is because they work. They do. And look, they seem so left of center for a lot of us, particularly for people who are locked in to rational thought patterns and evidence-based lives. But trust me, if we don't even try these things, we will never understand their full power or their full potential, whether it's journaling, whether it's introspection, whether it's meditation. If we don't look inwards, we'll never know how deep our inward journey could be. I bloody love this stuff. Thank you for listening today, team. This is Built Resilient. My name is Bart Walsh. If you want to connect with me, you can on Instagram at walsh.fit. On TikTok, look for Bart Walsh. On all the platforms, just look for Bart Walsh, you'll find it there. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to know what content you would like coming up in the future. So feel free to reach out through those platforms or by email, hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Have a wonderful morning, an exceptional evening, and an okay afternoon. And remember to choose resilience.